The 1999 Macworld Conference showcased many future applications and improved capabilities of their computing software. One of these applications was a third-person shooter developed by Bungie called Halo. Receiving positive reception from its audience, Bungie and Halo would eventually be acquired by Microsoft Studios and make Halo a launch title for Microsoft's new gaming console, the Xbox. After switching from third to first person, Halo will be released on November 15th, 2001 to critical acclaim. But how does it hold up later? That, everybody, is what we're going to find out. But where are my manners? I haven't properly introduced myself yet. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all. I'm your host, RidleyRavineIceCream. Welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be looking at Halo Combat Evolved. The game is over 18 years old and has seen multiple re-releases, the original for the Xbox, a PC port, anniversary for the 360, and is also included in the Master Chief Collection for the Xbox One. Now, I'm going to mainly be sticking to the anniversary version, released for the Xbox 360. In terms of single player, there's not much difference between the multiple re-releases, just some minor graphical differences, which I'll get into later. As for the multiplayer differences, I'll bring that up when discussing multiplayer, and just a warning, I'll be spoiling the plot in order to discuss it. So if you want to avoid spoilers, skip right ahead to the designated time. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so looking at the manual, we can see that in the year 2552, humanity has united under the United Nations Space Command, or UNSC, and has traveled into space, colonizing various planets. However, they're soon attacked by a group of aliens called the Covenant. The UNSC attempts to fight back, but they're no match for the Covenant's armies. The Covenant lays siege on the human worlds, including the planet Reach. During the attack, the UNSC ship, the Pillar of Autumn, managed to escape the attack with the Covenant giving chase. In the moment of ease, the Autumn discovers a giant ring in space. But the moment is cut short thanks to the Covenant managing to catch up and attack the Autumn. The captain of the Autumn, Keyes, orders all available soldiers into action.
Everyone, sir?
Everyone! Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Master Chief, our player character of this game and one of the last Spartans in action. What's a Spartan, you may ask? Well, they're soldiers who are trained in the art of war since they were children. But that is just putting it a bit lightly, folks. Master Chief meets up with Keyes, and we're introduced to the Autumn's AI, Cortana. Not wanting her to fall into enemy hands, Master Chief is instructed by the captain to take Cortana and escape the ship. After finding his way through the ship, Master Chief makes his way onto an escape pod, and crash lands onto the mysterious ring. After landing on the ring, Chief reunites with the other soldiers, and works with them to rescue Keyes, who was taken hostage by the Covenant. After rescuing the captain, Keyes reveals that the Covenant have named the ring world Halo, and believes it to be some sort of super weapon, and orders Master Chief to reach Halo's control room. And in due time, Chief and Cortana manage to locate and arrive at Halo's control center. Before we can celebrate though, Cortana finds something disturbing and urges Chief to go and find Keyes. Chief journeys to Keyes' last known location, and discovers a squad of killed soldiers. Viewing a Marine's helmet camera, Chief discovers the squad's fate. Keyes and his men ventured into a facility, hoping to gain access to what they believed to be a weapon storage. But instead, the room was sealing away the Flood, parasitic life forms that possess their dead enemies. You know, saying that out loud makes me realize something. They're basically zombies. As soon as he finishes viewing the footage, Master Chief is attacked by the Flood. It's a long and brutal journey, but Chief manages to escape the facility. After escaping the facility, Chief is teleported away and greeted by 343 Guilty Spark, the caretaker of the ring. Seeing the Flood has escaped, Sparky here enlists Master Chief's aid in obtaining Halo's index. Doing so will activate Halo's defenses and destroy the Flood. But doing so requires traveling through the library. Ugh. So after a trek through the worst level in the game, Chief and Sparky manage to retrieve the index and return to Halo's control room. Upon putting the index in, Cortana reinstates herself back in the plot and reveals Halo's true purpose: to kill all sentient life in order to starve the Flood to death. Sparky soon confirms this and reveals his intent to follow protocol and activate Halo in order to kill the Flood, to which Master Chief responds appropriately.
That's not going to happen.
So be it. Save his head. Dispose of the rest.
From here, Chief and Cortana create a plan to destroy Halo and by extension, the Flood. Their plan? Activate the Crash Pillar of Autumn self-destruct sequence. But first, they need Captain Keyes' neural implants. Chief and Cortana track down Keys, only to discover he's been absorbed into this large cluster of flood. Actually, this is the start of a grave mine. So many fans of future Halo games will know is bad news. Knowing Keys would want them to finish the mission, Chief takes the neural implants from Keys' brain. Yikes. And departs for the Autumn. Once on the Autumn, Cortana tries to activate the self-destruct sequence, but Sparky shows up and stops the sequence wanting to learn about human history. Not wanting to give up, Chief offers to blow the ship up manually. And 4 rockets later, the ship begins to do so. Chief and Cortana race through the ship on a Warthog and escape Halo before the Autumn blows up, taking Halo, the Flood, and any remaining human and Covenant forces along with it. The day is saved, Cortana sets a course to Earth, and Chief takes the moment to rest, ending Halo 1. Overall, I would say this story is fine. At the end of the day, Halo 1 starts an old school video game story, and that comes with the strengths and weaknesses of old school game stories. It provides enough backstory to make the present day stuff clear and satisfying. Characters are simple and easy to understand, which is great. It lets us get straight into the action. We also get some fun moments from the characters. The downside is the story doesn't hold up well under scrutiny. You remember how I said Chief is teleported and meets Sparky? If that sounds like it came out of nowhere, that's because it does. 1 minute we're fighting enemies, and 1 flash later, we're in a cutscene and we're introduced to a new character, faction, goal, and teleportation within less than a minute. That's too much to drop on a person. And what about the explanation for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s disrupted systems? That's an odd one. And no amount of dropping Chief on his head will make me ignore Cortana's explanation for using teleportation once. I think Halo's story is fine, but these odd moments take me out of the experience and keep me from enjoying the Halo story as much as I want to and used to. What I think should be praised is the cinematics. The cutscenes are filmed nicely, the voice acting was and still is good, the soundtrack is also great. All these elements come together to give Halo a good presentation that elevates its story. Alright, the spoiler card is back, glad to have you here. Just to summarize my thoughts on the story, I think it's fine, the presentation's great, but there's just some odd moments that hold the story back for me and keep me from enjoying it as much as I want to. But now that the story's out of the way, we can jump straight into the gameplay. As a shooter, you'll move Master Chief with the left analog stick and aim with the right analog stick. This may seem standard, but this was actually a big deal back in 2001. Back then, most console shooters were taking cues from GoldenEye, having a lock-on button, movement, and aiming being mapped onto an analog stick. So Bungie did what seemed asinine at the time and put aiming on the right analog stick. Chief can also throw grenades for dealing with large groups, melee enemies when they get too close, and the buttons are in the right place, it's nice, but if you don't like the default control layout, you can just switch between any of the multiple layouts they have available for you until you find one that fits your preference. The controls themselves are good, Chief moves fine, but jumping feels a little floaty. It's never too much of an issue, but it is noticeable whenever you have to make some jumps. This also extends to the vehicles. They all control well enough, but at times it feels less like I'm driving a Jeep, and more like I'm riding a block as it slides around on ice. More so than when I'm actually driving on ice. Throughout the game, you'll be able to use a variety of weapons, ranging from simple human pistols to the Covenant Needler. But choose wisely, you can only carry 2 weapons, another feature popularized by Halo. Other shooters before allowed you to carry any and all firearms armed near at all times. But unlike other shooters, you can throw grenades without selecting them. And you know, I think this system actually helps Halo. It makes you commit to the weapons you select while also allowing expression. Even if it does tend to give you a free rocket launcher when you're fighting Covenant tanks. But you do have options other times. You want to get right into the action? Well, grab a shotgun and a plasma rifle and go to town. Or maybe you want to try something more tactful. You just grab a sniper rifle and pistol and select your targets. And if it's too hectic for you, you can just lower the difficulty, or it's too easy, raise it. The game has multiple difficulty options and pick from them at your leisure. And if that's not enough for you, you could find the hidden skulls throughout the game. This was a feature that was added in the Anniversary Edition and the Master Chief Collection. Hidden throughout the levels are these skulls that you can find, and once you find them and activate them in the menu, will give the game special effects such as grunts exploding when they die, enemies have increased health, or only being able to use human weapons. There's also these terminals hidden throughout the levels also, and then when you find them, they can unlock some special movies for you that expand on Halo's lore and some details. Though you do have to find them in the Anniversary graphics, so they're not available in the original graphics. All in all, I would say the weapon system is great. At least until you fight the Flood. Then at that point, it's safe to say your primary weapon is the shotgun. Because when the Flood show up, you will be swarmed by them from all sides. Including carrier forms that like to sneak up on you and blow up right on top of you. Or how about those rocket launcher Flood that seemingly show up out of nowhere? Yeah, I don't like fighting the Flood. Halo's gameplay is at its best when you're on the offense, utilizing the full sandbox. But with the Flood, you gotta play defense. And it's just not as fun as when you're on the offense. The Covenant though is much better because you're on the offense and have more variety. Runs are cannon fodder, but if you are careless, they can overpower you. Jackals play a more supportive role, taking on defensive positions. Elites are your equals. They'll dodge fire, use grenades, take cover, or hunt you down if you retreat. The Covenant's AI is also more sophisticated than the Flood, allowing battles to be more memorable. For example, grunts will run away in a frenzy if you kill their commanding elites first, and elites have multiple things to do in battle as previously mentioned. This is all backed up with good level design. Halo's levels are varied with multiple arenas that are fun to find in. On your first trip, Halo has a really bad habit of copy and paste level design. This room here on its Soul and Control Room is used 9 times. 18 if we count 2 betrayals since it's Assault on Control Room backwards. Not only making things tedious, but it can be really easy to get lost on occasion due to similar looking rooms. This all comes together in the worst level of the game, the library. Goodness gracious, this level sucks. It's long, it's tedious, you're fighting Flood for the whole duration, and I swear it's just the same long hallway copied and pasted 4 times. Remember how in the beginning I said Halo was originally a third-person shooter at the 1999 Macworld convention? Well, Halo had a difficult development cycle that didn't see Halo become a first-person shooter until a year before release. Most of Halo's problems can be traced back to this troubled development, with the level design taking the biggest hit in my opinion. Which is a real shame because graphically, I think Halo still looks great. Textures and models are nice and identifiable. There's a good atmosphere and presence thanks to the lighting. The frame rate's consistent, though it can slow down a bit when things get a little hectic. But if things look a little too old for you, Anniversary on the 360 and the Master Chief Collection for the Xbox One have an updated graphics feature that lets you play the game with updated graphics. Though, personally, I feel like the original has a better sense of light and atmosphere. This is most obvious on the level 343 Guilty Spark, which was designed with a horror aesthetic in mind. And the Anniversary graphics brighten up the level and makes the architect a lot shinier, which destroys any sense of suspense and atmosphere the level had going for it. Some graphics were also modified. In the original graphics, this level was supposed to be a desert, but the Anniversary graphics makes it look more like a mountainside. This also extends to the cutscenes, like, look at Cortana here. Yeah, she may look nicer, but I can't help but feel like she's more expressive in the original graphics. Also, it's just me, but her eyes here looking at different corners of the ceilings. Anniversary also has a remastered soundtrack, which is nice. But the best part is, if you don't like the Anniversary settings, you can just set it to the original settings. You can also have a friend join you on the adventure, and playing with a buddy is always a plus, especially since the allies assisting you suck. The Covenant might have dynamic AI, but the Marines accompanying you are next to worthless. But what if you want to bash some heads in? Well, Bungie's got your back covered in Versus mode. In the original Halo, you and up to 4 friends can play a variety of modes. There's your standard Versus modes, like in the forms of Slayer and Capture the Flag, but there was also other modes like Race and Oddball. The multiplayer is pretty fun. It's not my favorite Halo multiplayer, but it can be fun, and things crank up to 11 when everyone knows the strength of the pistol. In the right hands, this weapon can rack up kills in 3 shots. I don't know why it's the pistol that's so powerful, but it does speed up matches. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the PC version and the Master Chief Collection play identical to the original Xbox release, but there are some additional weapons, vehicles, and maps added. The version that's the most different from the others is Anniversary on the 360. Anniversary's multiplayer uses Halo Reach as the basis for its multiplayer, since Reach was the newest game out at the time of release. As such, you have all of Halo Reach's multiplayer modes, Firefight, and Forge options available. I'll go more detail to that in a Halo Reach review someday. But be forewarned, Anniversary's multiplayer is essentially 2 modes, Halo Reach's multiplayer, and Halo Reach's multiplayer trying to imitate Halo 1's multiplayer. Good times can be had, but if I want to play Halo 1 multiplayer, I'll play Halo 1. And if I want to play Halo Reach's multiplayer, I'll play Halo Reach. All in all, I have to say, I'm impressed with how well Halo Combat Evolved has aged. It has its rough moments like any other game, sure, but even years after many games have introduced quality of life touches, Combat Evolved is still playable. Its combat is fun and engaging, the soundtrack is great, the story has its moments, and the multiplayer is fun too. If you're a fan of shooters, especially classic shooters, I would recommend that you play Halo Combat Evolved. The credit it's received for modernizing shooters is well earned. And with that, our time has come to an end. I want to thank every one of you for watching. Hope the rest of your day rocks. See you next video.
Come here, you mother... Oh, This is it, baby. Hold me.